Everybody, Dave Spector here for Peace Camera, and in this week's video we are going to talk all about the basics of DSLR video. Alright, welcome back. Like I said, we're going to talk about the basics of DSLR video. Today a lot of photographers are now starting to expand into video, or we're getting a lot of people coming into the store that want to start a YouTube channel and don't know where to begin. So I wanted to go with a couple of basics of DSLR video. Now, most every single camera made today has the capability of shooting video. You could do it even with your phone if you're really on a budget and need to get started out. But I'm going to go over some of the basics of DSLR video. Now, for the example on this video, I'm going to use a Canon 70D that we have in use at the store that's available for sale. So if you're interested, give us a call. And this is one of the great video cameras out there that are very popular for a lot of video people. Now, the first thing you need to do is determine your frame rate. There's 24 frames per second, 30 frames per second, 60 frames, and so on. Most cameras will do 24 and 30 and 60 frames per second. If you want to shoot higher, like 120 frames, you might have to buy a higher end camera to be able to shoot that, but that's going to only really be used for super slow-mo shots. Now, for 24 frames per second, that is what most every single movie is shot in. It gives a little bit of motion blur and gives that nice cinematic feel. For a lot of the YouTube videos, like this video I'm shooting on today, is shot at 30 frames per second. It gives a little bit crispier image. And if you want to do slow-mo, then you'll start shooting in 60 frames or higher. Again, if your camera is capable of that. As far as resolution, I shoot in 1920 by 1080 full HD. Some cameras will shoot in 4K, but if you don't have a powerful enough computer to edit 4K video on, or anything to really watch 4K on, as 4K TVs have not come fully mainstream yet. It's getting there, but again, you need the computing power to be able to handle 4K files. So shooting at 1080 full HD is a good way to go. So again, I shoot at 1920 by 1080 at 30 frames per second. So once you determine your frame rate, now that will determine your shutter speed. So the rule is that you double it. So if I'm shooting at 24 frames per second, I would want to double that and shoot at 1/48th of a second. But since most cameras don't have that, we round up to 1/50th of a second. For me here, I'm shooting at 30 frames per second, so my shutter speed is going to be 1/60th of a second. And if I was shooting slow-mo at 60 frames per second, I would double it to 1/125th of a second, as there's no 1/120th of a second. So now once you got those settings set, now your only things you'll need to work with to play around with your video is your ISO and aperture. Obviously we don't want to shoot at high ISOs because that can introduce noise, so you want to play around with your aperture. Right now my settings here for this very video you're watching are 1920 by 1080, 1/60th of a second because I'm shooting at 30 frames per second, and I'm shooting at f4 ISO 800. Now ISO 800 is not high for my camera. It can handle without any noise whatsoever, but every camera is going to be a little bit different. Now if you're shooting outside in bright sun, then you're probably going to have to step it down all the way to f22, and if you still can't get a good proper exposure, you might need to put a neutral density filter in front of the lens, which is basically sunglasses for your lens, and that'll help cut down some more light and allow you to get a proper exposure. But always be mindful as your situation changes. You want to look at those settings to change either ISO or aperture to get the proper exposure. So next is good audio. Now for me, I personally hate to watch a video that has bad audio. The video could be great looking, could be shot in 4K, but the audio is terrible. No one's going to watch it. So I use a shotgun mic that I have off the camera. Something similar to this. Mine's a little bit bigger, but this is a shotgun mic, and this will plug into your hot shoe on your camera, and then the cord will plug into the mic input on your camera. Now, not all cameras have mic input, so don't worry. There are other options for you. You could use one of these. This is from Azen. This is a lapel mic. This will hook onto your shirt, and then this will plug into the headphone jack on your phone, and you could use the voice recording app on your phone to record the video. Record the audio, I'm sorry. Now, the only downside of this is that once you bring the movie into post, you will need to sync the audio up, and if you ever watch behind the scenes, they have that movie clapper, or somebody would just clap like that. What that's going to do is make a nice spike in the audio track, and then when you in editing and post-production, you can line up those spikes and then the audio should be synced up nice. But also today, a lot of the video editing softwares can do that automatically for you, and it's gotten much easier to do. Another thing, let's talk about editing software since we're on that topic. Now, there's quite a few different video editing software out there. If you're a Windows user just starting out, you want to learn, there's Windows Movie Maker. It's a very basic video editor, only allow you to do a certain amount of things to it, but it's a good way to get started. If you're an Apple user, you could use iMovie. Again, it's limited. You can only do so much with it, but if you're ready to learn and do a little bit more, I suggest stepping up to a program such as Final Cut Pro if you're on the Mac side, or if you use either computer. The software program I use is Adobe Premiere Pro. There's also Sony Vegas and Camtasia, which are a couple other video editing softwares out there, but I prefer Adobe Premiere Pro. It's top of the line video editing software. You can get it as part of the Creative Cloud package for not too much a month. And also allow you to do multi-track audio, multi-track video, and really easily. A lot of motion graphic options have also been added with the titler tool and the essential graphics panel in the latest release, and I really like it. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but there's plenty of videos out there to get you started. So that's the basics of DSLR video. I hope this video was informative and you've learned a lot. If you did, please let me know down in the comments below if you'd like me to do a little more in-depth, or if you're local to the area, I might consider putting on a DSLR video workshop here at the store. And I'd really like to know if that's something you would be interested in. Again, if you like this video, please do hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel if you're not subscribed, as I put out new videos every single Friday. And then, of course, if you want to come down and see us, talk to me or any of the other people here at the staff, we'd be happy to help you get started on your video journey. You can come down and see us. We're at 5039 Falls of Neuse Road in the Quail Corner Shopping Center in Falls of Neuse and Millbrook here in North Raleigh, or give us a call 919-836-2222. That's going to do it for this week's video. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.